All right, welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to talk about trusting the process. Important topic for me. Can't really explain it shortly, so I'm going to get into the video essay portion. But let's talk about what happened between last week's lack of a video and the week before that. Graphics card arrived, so hopefully I'll be getting to some live streaming soon, because now my PC can definitely handle it, and I don't have any excuse not to. Yeah, what else happened? Oh yeah, I've been working on my Sheridan application, so I'll flash something on the screen of my progress in that so far. I'm going to try to get that done by the end of December. Already behind, but I've been making some good progress on the first art test, and I've got a lot of portfolio stuff, a lot more than I had last year, so I'm confident in that section. So yeah, little mini update, but let's get into the, actual video.
All right. Trust the process. What exactly do I mean by that? Well, first let me give you an example. So you're working on a piece and you've got the sketch done, you've got the flat colors done, and it's time to take it into the rendering part. It's time to polish it up and turn it into an actual final piece for your portfolio. But you spend like 30 minutes on it and comes out looking worse than it did before. Like you haven't even come close to finishing it, but every step you take towards a polished render, it just feels like a step in the wrong direction. And what I've done when I've encountered this situation in the past is I've just decided that the piece that I was working on wasn't as good as I thought it was, or like there's something's wrong with my foundation. Basically, I quit at that point and I try something else. Maybe I come up with a better idea and I start sketching and coloring, and I move on to another piece. Maybe I decide that I don't want to keep pushing through if it means I'm going to get burnt out that day, and I move on to guitar or video games or something else. But this causes a bit of a problem, because if I choose to stop before finishing a piece all the way, and I make that decision over and over again, it means that I won't have experience in that part of the process. And if I don't have experience in that part of the process, then the next time I bump up against that barrier, I won't know how to break through. I'll just make that same decision over and over again. And, sometimes inspiration can solve this. I've been carried through pieces where I was just so excited to complete them, so happy with the idea that I came up with, that I just powered through the rendering process and was over before I knew it. But that doesn't happen consistently, and it's not as much in my control as I would like it to be. So, what's the solution? Well, one piece of advice that I've gotten is, each time you make a change, you ask yourself if it's better or worse, right? If you're improving the piece that you're working on, or if you are, I don't know if degrading is the right word, but that's the only one I can think of. If you're making it worse somehow. And I guess, line by line, that isn't exactly the best assessment to make. But sure, if you sort of space it out and make sure that you're moving in the right direction, that's a healthy way of analyzing it, I suppose, if it works for you. But for me, it can be paralyzing, because I'm sitting there analyzing exactly what's happening, and if anything, I'm just making the assessment that it's getting worse over and over again, and that just kind of reaffirms the decision that I want to make, which is to, cut it off there and start working on something else that I'm more inspired about. Because that's kind of what's happening, is when I come across this technical barrier, it's almost like my inspiration is tied to my technical ability. I want to keep working. I want to make something that's both technically and I guess thematically improved from my previous work. And as soon as I run up against one of those barriers, then my inspiration as a whole kind of halts. And that's really important for me when I'm creating this process, or that's really important for me when I'm engaging in the process of creation, because that's the part that I value the most about it, is being able to be proud of what I'm working on and get lost in the process. And if that's not the solution, then what is the solution? If I can't not analyze it, if I can't analyze it, well, I think there is kind of an in-between. There's a lot of like simple instincts that you can follow, like use reference is one of them. This whole process in the background right now is kind of like a sketch phase, an ideation phase, and I did start with using reference. So I guess it's a good background for this topic. Because in a lot of ways it is kind of what you're supposed to do, right? You're supposed to gather a bunch of reference, you're supposed to do a bunch of sketches before you create the final painting, so you know that you're going with the best idea that you could have for whatever topic you're focusing on. And in this case, I narrowed things down, but I didn't even get to the final painting. I guess extending the process isn't a totally bad thing as long as I carry through. But yeah, like I was saying, you can sort of trust your gut. I guess that's what I mean by trust the process, is there's a bunch of lessons that sort of apply, and as long as you have one on hand and you can go with it, then that can carry you through just as much as an inspirational idea, right? If I get stuck, I can say, oh, I'll use reference. Oh, let me try this. Let me try using triangulation or something, and just to figure out how this looks instead of just contours, or let me use basic shapes, or let me, analyze the light and shadow. Let me basically just change things up. Keep yourself on your toes within the process, because that way you won't feel like you're just hitting your head against a brick wall over and over again, right? You're coming at the problem from different angles, right? You're staying creative even though you're feeling a bit blocked. And I guess that's my overall solution, so maybe that's just what I wanted to say with this. But even if you do end up just hitting your head against a brick wall over and over again, and you render it all the way through and you force yourself, thinking about it in retrospect is always, you can always sort of change the way that you view that experience, right? Because it might have been frustrating to render out a final piece and then look at it and realize it's worse than the one you created a year ago. But, the proof's there, right? You put the hours in, and you know that you're maintaining a good habit and carrying through and finishing a piece, like truly finishing it, will actually benefit you, even if the piece is subpar, because you've gone through the process all the way, and you've taken one more step into sort of lessening that demotivation you encounter when a piece starts, losing momentum. So yeah, I think I've elaborated on that enough. Hopefully you found that interesting. Anyway, thanks so much for listening and watching. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.